Well, understand back here at the Genesis Communication Network, coming to you from the hills overlooking beautiful and picturesque Monterey Bay, and bringing you the news behind the news, the story behind the story. Hoping to convince you that reality is usually scoffed at, that illusion is usually king. But in the battle for survival of Western civilization, it's going to be reality, not illusion or delusion, that's going to determine what the future will bring. And I need to remind you the views expressed here are not necessarily those of the owners, management, staff, sponsors, or supporters of the station you're listening to. They happen to be my views, and, well, for the next hour, they're going to be the views of Lindsay Williams. And we're going to be talking about information that he's been given through the years about what's going to happen. Now, I think you have to understand that when something happens, it doesn't happen by accident. It was FDR who said, in politics, if something happens, it was planned that way. And certainly we saw, for instance, the recent economic collapse. It was back in 2008 when Bear Stearns it was in March of that year, 2008. There was a run on Bear Stearns. They rescued Bear Stearns, but in September of that year, they let Lehman Brothers go down. And, of course, that precipitated, at least we're told, this whole incredible financial debacle. But why did they let Lehman Brothers go down? And that's the question nobody ever asked. They could have intervened. They could have stopped what has happened since then. But they didn't. And they said, we didn't have the authorization. Didn't have the authorization. Bernanke used something like $13 trillion in increments to bail out banks and industries and Toyota and all sorts of corporations all throughout the world. And he didn't have the money, the authorization to save Lehman Brothers. Of course he did. But we're operating on a timetable, and right now, of course, we're talking about Greece and the possibility that Greece will go into default. And if he does, of course, it'll collapse a lot of the European banks, and those European banks, of course, have a lot of money from American money funds that invested over there. American banks have written insurance policies that guarantee that Greece will not default. In other words, if Greece defaults, why the derivative and the other contracts American banks have probably involve, hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. Why then would they allow Greece to default? All they have to do is simply have the banks agree to delay the loans or do something, but they're not going to do it. Why? Well, I once again believe we're working on a timetable. Certainly it was in mid-October of last year when Lindsay and I talked, and he told me that he had been told there was going to be a major conflict in the Middle East within 4 to 6 months. And I said, it's going to be a war with Iran then? And he said, no. His contact, Mr. Ken Fromm, who since died, so we can use his name, had said it was not going to be a war with Iran. In fact, he had laughed at Lindsay. And he said there's not going to be a war with Iran at this time. But he wouldn't tell Lindsay what the conflict was. Well, it should be very obvious. In a couple of months, why we had, of course, the revolutions in Tunisia and in Egypt, and we had the revolutions in Bahrain, and we had the revolutionary activity that's going on in Syria and Libya. This is all planned ahead of time, and Mr. Ken Fromm knew exactly what was going to happen. But, of course, the average individual didn't have any idea. I didn't have any idea. And I don't think Lindsay had any idea when he got the information. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's all going according to plan. And our job is to try to figure out what the plan is. Lindsay, thanks very much for being with us again this afternoon. So what's the latest information you have?
Well, Dr. Stan, thank you for allowing me to be with you this afternoon, because every time one of the Mr. X's of my book, The Energy Non-Crisis, one of the elite, as I like to call them, every time they give me a briefing, I contact you and I say, here is the very latest. Now, I hope everyone in the listening audience has a pencil and paper. Last Friday, I had just gotten back into the United States of America. Many of you probably wondered why, for approximately 1 month, you had heard nothing from Lindsey Williams. Well, I was outside of the country. I did not go outside of America to try to look for some place to go. I went outside of America for a briefing. I had been urged by one of the Mr. X's in my book for over a year to go to this, and I did. But after I got back, I was on the phone with the Mr. X who lives in Alaska, and he said to me on last Friday, and the things he told me were so startling, and then he asked me again if we could talk on Monday, and we did for a lengthy conversation on Monday. Well, Dr. Stan, that's what I would like to talk about today, are the things he told me last Friday and the things I heard on Monday. And I must say, at the beginning of this program, congratulations to you, Dr. Stan. Congratulations to Genesis Network. Congratulations to those who have been out there plugging away, warning the American people, telling the truth over the years, because you have succeeded. And here's how you've succeeded. One of the first things that the gentleman said to me was, Chaplain, so many people are waking up. So many Americans are revolting. I mean, this is so startling to understand that the elite are getting very concerned because so many Americans are waking up, and as a result, they feel that one of the things they have pushed too hard on and is the price of gasoline. Now, you remember that they told me back about 4 to 5 months ago that gasoline prices were going to go back up again. I came on the air on your show and many other shows and said we're going to see gasoline prices go. Crude oil, of course, to $150 to $200 a barrel. It's still going there, by the way. They've just delayed for a while in order to let you simmer down. You Americans are waking up too much. And I said that it would probably get that way in 9 to 12 months. Well, they got it to over $4, $5 in some places in America like California and Hawaii. They are going to keep the price of, now be encouraged, folks, enjoy that vacation this summer, because of Dr. Stan, networks like Genesis Network. You have awakened so many people that the elite are getting scared because they've pushed it a little too hard. They are going to limit the price of gasoline to $5 a gallon, at least through the summer and up into the early fall. And then they're going to begin again to see how hard they can push to accomplish what they want to. So, Dr. Stan, congratulations. There's some things that are exciting about what the elite tell me. Not everything is negative. Some things are very exciting. And there are some very startling things that I'm going to give on your program today. But this one, Dr. Stan, pat yourself on the back. And Genesis Network, you do the same thing because you literally have limited the elite. Now, many of you will remember that when I lived with the elite of the world, I was invited. I know we have many new listeners out there today, so just briefly. Many years ago, I was invited by the elite of the world to be their chaplain. And for 3 years' time, I lived with the people that you hear in the World Bank, the IMF, and the top oil company officials of the world. And it was strictly by the providence of God that a little insignificant, unknown aviation missionary out in Alaska could have invited to be in such a position. So over these years, these elite and I have stayed in touch. And one of them died about 6 months ago, Mr. Ken Fromm. He was in his 80s. There's one more that gives me information on a regular basis. And when they give me things, I come on Dr. Stan's program and others and tell you just what they have told me. And you've heard me say many times that there is only one thing on the face of this earth that the elite are afraid of. No. The elite are not concerned about the economy. They're the ones doing it. The elite are not concerned about the dollar. They're going to crash it. The elite is not concerned about the national debt. This is a prediction, by the way. You'll see it happen. We are going to default on the national debt of $14 to $15 trillion. I've already been given the word. But you, as Americans, are waking up so fast that you have frightened the elite. And Dr. Stan, congratulations. You've done a great job.
Hold that thought. We'll be back in just a moment here at Genesis.
decades, these great United States have had security and plenty because of the thousands of small farms which supply our every nutritional need. For generations, these dedicated men and women have supplied us with fresh food at reasonable cost. There is a chance that our food supply could be cut off in the event of a national emergency. You should carefully consider planting your own home garden. A seed bank from SeedCatalog.com will make it almost easy. A seed bank contains every seed you'll need to plant a basic survival garden. All heirloom and all ready for you to create that special, necessary outdoor resource. Where can you find out more? Call 888-866-9132 or go to SeedCatalog.com. Call 888-866-9132 right now and order seed for this year's garden. SeedCatalog.com.
Will I have garlic breath after I take Ali-C?
We get that question all the time about the world's best garlic extract, Ali-C. And the answer is, Ali-C contains stabilized allicin, nature's antimicrobial agent, and the active ingredient in crushed garlic, but will not give you garlic breath. Scientifically proven in double-blind studies, using low doses of allicin greatly reduces the number, severity, and duration of common colds. Our powerful Ali-C contains 300 milligrams of stabilized allicin. Just one tablet of Ali-C is equivalent to 40 garlic cloves. It's effective against asthma, MRSA, bacterial, fungal, and viral infections, and helps lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Plus, it's a natural mosquito repellent. Boost resistance to infection with nature's best garlic extract, Ali-C. For more information and to order Ali-C, call 877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com. That's 877-888-7126 or garlichealthproducts.com. Fight back with Ali-C.
As the old saying goes, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you give him a Berkey system, you give him the ability to obtain purified water for a lifetime. This year, when giving Christmas gifts, instead of unwanted trinkets, give a meaningful and substantial gift. Berkey systems are ideal for every member of your family, especially the young ones in college. Unlike other water filtration systems, Berkey purifiers are portable. They require no plumbing, and the elements don't have to be replaced every 4 to 6 months. Perfect for anyone on a tight budget, and more importantly, if there's an unexpected emergency, your loved ones will be prepared. That's because Berkey systems are able to purify raw, untreated water. Check out our Christmas specials at BerkeyWater.com. With one of our quantity specials, you not only get a discount, but in one stop you can get gifts for the entire family. That's BerkeyWater.com or call 888-803-4438. That's 888-803-4438.
As many people know, ever since President Nixon took us off the gold standard, the U.S. dollar has been devaluating. What people don't know, however, is how this directly affects your personal finances. Is there a way to protect your portfolios from losing value? The answer to all of this is gold and silver. They both have maintained their purchasing power for 6,000 years. If you had $100,000 in cash and $100,000 in gold and silver back in 1913 and kept them until now, your cash would have the buying power of only $4,800, but your gold and silver would have the buying power of $3 million. The answer to protecting your assets is simple. Call John Ballman today at 1-800-686-2237, extension 169. Get all your questions answered before your money is worth zero. Call 1-800-686-2237, extension 169. Take action today while we still accept paper dollars for gold. That's 1-800-686-2237, extension 169.
The GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN. Great talk radio starts here.
Well, understand here at the Genesis Communication Network, and of course with us is Lindsay Williams, and Lindsay is simply saying that they're not going to raise the price of oil and gasoline as much as we thought to, at least until not after the summer. But the point he makes is that they are going to default on the debt. Now, are they going to default on the debt by just saying we're not going to pay? Are they going to default on the debt by simply destroying or eroding the value of our currency so that they don't have to pay back, and they'll pay back with devalued dollars? Because you could do a default either way. Which way are they going?
Dr. Stan, the default is going to come about as a result of what they're doing right now in the Middle East. the elite are bringing about a total overthrow of every Middle East country, every ruler, every royal family. Oh, yes, you heard me correctly. You will even see the Saudi royal family fall eventually. And all of this will bring down the American dollar because we get most of our crude oil from Saudi Arabia. And some of the things that you're going to hear for the next few moments now that the elite have told me are so startling that I want you to write them down, because you can put this beside your calendar and watch it as you have watched the other predictions that they've given me over the years. Many of you remember that about 2.5 years ago, Mr. Fromm said to me, he said, "Chaplain, do you want people to think you're a prophet?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said the price of crude oil is going from $147 a barrel to $50 a barrel. They actually went to $43 a barrel, and it happened exactly 3 months later after many people laughed at me and said it can't take place. Well, the predictions you're about to hear right now are going to be just as startling, because you're going to watch them unfold over the next 6 months to a year and a half as they complete their timeline at the end of 2012. Now, let me show you how upset the elite are at the Americans waking up. Many of you know that Fox News fired Glenn Beck. Well, if you don't know he was fired, then maybe you should understand some things there. But anyway, I hope you realize that the elite, there's only a handful of them. There are millions of us. And when we millions wake up, the elite get scared to death because it's the only thing that they can't control. Now, as a result of that, please, here are the first few items. I'm going to make this one as a statement, just like it came to me. The elite are getting ready for the day the revolution in the Middle East cuts off oil supply. Now, this, Dr. Stan, will answer your question as to how they are going to bring about a default in our $14-plus trillion national debt. They will do it by, first of all, continuing the revolution in the Middle East, cutting off our oil supply, letting us think that we don't have oil for our automobiles, long lines probably at the gas pumps, taking the price of gasoline up where they want it to go $150 to $200 a barrel. It will cause such a crisis in America. You think our economy is in bad shape now. Wait till then. But it's all being done for a reason. They want you to beg for a new currency. At the same time, the Federal Reserve will say, we can't pay off the national debt. Nations aren't even showing up to buy our T-bills and bonds any longer, and we're going to have to default. You are going to see more and more commentators and other people who are in the know around the country in the next few weeks. Please watch people start talking about a default on the national debt, and then you can come back and say that the elite knew it all the time. Now, write this date down, May the 12th, 2011. This is very important. You can go and research it for yourself if you have any doubt about what I'm about to give. The House of Representatives, very quietly, you see, when they want something done that they don't want the people getting all excited or upset about, they do it very quietly, and probably you never heard this. I would not have known it if it had not been given to me by one of them. The House of Representatives voted on May the 12th of 2011. It was a vote of 243 to 179, and they voted to reverse President Obama's offshore moratorium act. Oh, by the way, Mr. Obama is giving the elite some problems. They made it very plain. Now, here's what they did. They have opened, this is a dream come true for me. On that date, they voted to open up certain areas that they have never allowed oil drilling in before. Why? The elite already know the approximate date that the Middle East crisis is going to get so severe that they will need to have America's oil supply ready to bring online, and areas that they have never, Congress has paid off. Folks, please, those congressmen up there, they pay off the ones that they want in order to get the number of votes that they want. They've never allowed this before. But all of a sudden, very quietly, they vote to do this. And what are they going to open up? You guessed it. They're going to open up the Arctic Ocean. And look in the bill. Look it up for yourself. They're going to open up the Arctic Wildlife Refuge. They're going to open up Alaska's Bristol Bay. They're going to open up some other areas for oil production because they know approximately how long it will take them to get this oil ready to bring it online so that they can do it at the time that the Middle East crisis gets so great. Now I'm going to give you some names.
Let me just comment, Lindsay. I looked this up, and it's absolutely true. How could they have voted to open up drilling in ANWR when for years it's been dropped? And why weren't the environmentalists outraged? Why, because we've got the finest environmentalists money could buy. They're all on the payroll of the oil companies. Why would the oil companies be paying for the environmentalists? Very simply. I mean, do you think you make more money when you have a shortage of oil or an abundance of oil? I mean, there's always been plenty of oil out there. The peak oil is as phony as a $3 bill, or maybe we'll run out of oil in a couple of 100 years, but they have to convince the American people that there are no more dinosaurs, there's no more oil, we're out of oil, and they paid the environmental movement, they formed the environmental movement, they financed the environmental movement, and the environmental movement has blocked oil drilling in ANWR and certainly off the North Slope and lots of offshore, East Coast, West Coast. But as Lindsay says, and he's absolutely right, and I checked it out right after he told me, they very quietly voted to open up the Arctic National Wildlife Reserve. If that happened, why didn't everybody hear about it? Ladies and gentlemen, in America we have freedom of the press. That means the people who own the press, the 6 major corporations, all interlock with the Brotherhood of Darkness, the CFR. Now, I suppress the information, but it's there. You can check it out. Go to your computer. And so basically this is true. And basically the reason they're doing this is because they know we're going to be having a total chaos over there in the Middle East, and the oil supply is going to be cut off, and it's going to take at least a couple of years to have this oil ready to be online, and they're going to start preparing for this right now. They know what lies ahead. Nothing happens by accident. It's all scripted. Lindsay, go right ahead. I think that's so important.
My dreams have finally come true, Dr. Stan. In my book, The Energy Non-Crisis, which, of course, has been out of print for some time, and you've been begging me to get it back in print again, which finally we got it on Amazon Kindle. If you want a copy of it, by the way, go to Amazon Kindle. You get The Energy Non-Crisis and To Seduce a Nation. But in that book, I make the statement about a place called Gull Island. And I said that I saw the largest oil pool ever discovered on the face of the earth brought in within 24 hours. Information was ordered classified. And over these 35 years, I have been laughed at so many times. So many people have said, Lindsay Williams, you didn't know what you were talking about.
Has the whole world gone mad?
What's going on?
How can they do that?
Can Christians have demons?
Why are politicians so detached?
Need answers to these questions? This is Scott Henser for HardcoreChristianity.com, the nastiest Christian radio show and website in the country. When it comes to the biblical truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God, about what's really going on in America and the rest of the world. Come join us each day as Michael W. Smith of the House of Healing in Phoenix reveals what the churches in America failed to tell you about the true spirit realm concerning demonic activity, mental illness, and even the basis of hardcore evil that is sweeping mankind. Visit HardcoreChristianity.com. Remember, you cannot negotiate with evil. You have to eradicate it. It's not too late. Live in or visiting the Phoenix area? Come join us twice a week for our healing and deliverance services or attend our free monthly seminars. Check website for service hours and schedules.
HardcoreChristianity.com.
You've heard a lot lately about zeolite, but what is it and why do you need it? Zeolite is a beautiful, complex crystalline structure that encapsulates radiation and odors. ZeoKing zeolite naturally eliminates radiation poisoning your body may pick up from X-rays, security scanners, or nuclear fallout. ZeoKing flushes environmental toxins absorbed from smoke, cell phones, and chemicals. So it detoxifies heavy metals including mercury, lead, and cadmium. ZeoKing zeolite helps boost your immune system, allowing your body to balance itself and cut off food supply to cancer and parasites. Order your ZeoKing zeolite now from ZeoKing.com for only $39.99 and receive a free month supply with every order. Call 888-402-6779. That's 888-402-6779. Or visit ZeoKing.com. That's ZeoKing.com for natural elimination of radiation poisoning.
Nuclear reactors provide economical energy, but would you be prepared during an accident? During nuclear disasters, great amounts of radioactive iodine are released into the atmosphere, which are then readily absorbed into the body. Medical Corps' potassium iodate gives you virtually complete protection from the most feared consequence of a nuclear accident, radioactive poisoning. Potassium iodate can protect against radioactive poisoning by filling the thyroid with good iodine. This shields the thyroid and prevents it from absorbing the harmful radioactive iodine. Potassium iodate is better than the iodide form because it is not as likely to cause upset stomachs in children, the elderly, the sick, and pets. Order the official potassium iodate for only $24 and save $5 by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. Call now and get free shipping. That's 888-803-4438.
Ready to save? Then you're ready for the Super Summer Sale at Herbal Healer Academy. Herbal Healer has been the leader in quality natural supplements for 23 years. Log on to herbalhealer.com and take advantage of Herbal Healer Academy's incredible savings on 500 parts per million colloidal silver, the best pharmaceutical grade available, and all sizes on sale. Super Male Plex with Uhimbi and Super Femplex for summer toning. Buy glucosamine chondroitin 60 caps, summer sale priced at only $12. Colon Enhancer 250 caps, summer sale priced at just $18. And if your brain's a little foggy, we have a great supplement on sale called Memory Power. Log on and hit the postcard specials link for more super summer savings at herbalhealer.com. As always, new customers get a free catalog with first order. Herbal Healer Academy, healing the world with nature one person at a time.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade. We are the GCN Radio Network.
Well, Dr. Stan here at the Genesis Communication Network, our guest Lindsay Williams. And before we go on, Lindsay, I want you to tell our listeners how they can get to your material, and because you have so much important information that needs to be gotten out. Would you like to get out your number?
Dr. Stan, I would. My very latest presentation is 3 DVDs. You have 3 hours of viewing. It's entitled The Middle East, The Rest of the Story. For the sake of your dinner table, I beg you to get these, copy them because they're not copywritten, and give them to every person you can. I hope that you will see everything that the elite have told me for the past 2.5 years. On my 6th DVD presentation, 8 hours of viewing, if ever there was a time that you're watching it take place right in front of your eyes. Our toll-free number, and we have operators standing by the way, 24 hours a day. We've had such a response. You can call. An American operator will answer, by the way. The number toll-free, 888-799-6111. Or go on the web if you'd like.
Hello.
Anytime, day or night. ProphecyClub.com. ProphecyClub.com.
No, you have. We're right in the middle of a radio program right now. Are you calling about the program that's on the air?
Hello?
Yeah, but I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a radio program. You'll have to call back and call 1-800-544-8927. You go right ahead.
Okay, our toll-free number, 888-799-6111. The Middle East, the rest of the story, or ProphecyClub.com. Folks, you are literally seeing things that I said 35 years ago fulfilled in front of your eyes. Many people said back in those days when I wrote the book, The Energy Non-Crisis, and there was a chapter in it entitled Gull Island Will Blow Your Mind. It's the largest oil pool ever discovered on the face of the earth. And I was told at the time that they would not release any of that oil until the oil companies had the price of crude oil where they wanted it to go. They wanted it to go to $150 to $200 a barrel. Well, here it is. Write this down, please. Prove it for yourself. I was just given it by Mr. X on Monday of this week. He said the biggest oil rig ever built on the face of the earth. You think the Gulf of Mexico was something. You haven't seen anything yet. They're about to drill into and produce what will probably be the largest oil find ever discovered on the face of the earth. They've already proven it 35 years ago. They're going to bring it in now. Why? Because the elite have already calculated. Now, folks, this is amazing. They have already calculated the approximate date that the revolution in the Middle East will be so severe that our oil supply will begin to be cut off, and they're getting ready to bring in America's own oil under their auspices at the price that they want to give it to you for. And I'm giving you some facts and figures right now that if you ever had any doubt, go prove it for yourself, and you won't doubt again. The biggest oil rig ever built on the face of the earth has just within the past few weeks been moved to the North Slope of Alaska, right near West Dock, and it is called the Liberty Rig. Look it up for yourself, Liberty Rig. And they are drilling. Oh, this is so exciting. Because I can't help but get excited, Dr. Stan, you'll forgive me, because my dreams are literally coming true. I always said that I wanted to be here whenever Gull Island will blow your mind. In my book actually came to pass, and it's about to happen. This big Liberty rig is going to drill 8 miles. Can you imagine such as that? Is going to drill 8 miles of angle drilling, and I'm going to give you the name of the field. To my knowledge, it wasn't even named back in those days. I called it Gull Island, and they did too, for lack of anything else to call it. They call it the Lisbon Zone, not Lisbon Pool or oil, but Lisbon Zone. They're going to drill 8 miles offshore of the Arctic Ocean, and they're going into what I call Gull Island in my book, and every bit of it in preparation being made for the time that the oil will be cut off in the Middle East. Folks, we are living in such exciting days because the elite are fulfilling their program just exactly the way that they want to do it. Now, let me give you the other oil fields that are in the process of, and somehow we are beginning to see this. The Bakken Oil Reserve in North and South Dakota and Montana, they are punching holes up there as fast as they possibly can. Also around Colorado, you're seeing some major signs of oil. But do you realize that every single bit of this is pointing to the time that you are going to lose your dollar? We're going to default on the national debt. The Middle East will be in such crisis and chaos that you'll be begging for a new currency. And do you realize that everything they're doing is getting ready for the time that all of this will happen? Now, here is a term you're going to hear quite a bit in the very near future. I know you've heard it a little bit in the past, but it's going to be more and more of a term. You're going to hear the term petrodollar. Oh, yes, you've heard the term a few times. You're not going to hear world reserve currency anymore. The dollar is out. It's destroyed. They are literally scuttling it. It is not going to be used for the sale and trade of crude oil. One nation after the other is going to no longer use their dollar for the sale and trade of crude oil. Therefore, it is not even being considered by the elite as a reserve currency of the world anymore. And they are getting ready for what they call the petrodollar. You'll hear this term more and more. When the American dollar gets to the point that it is worth so little, as you've heard me say before, they have a timeline. Yeah, I don't know whether they're going to be able to fulfill it or not, but they still have it online, and that is by the end of 2012 to have the dollar dead. I did not say non-existent. They said dead. When it gets to that point, you will beg for a new world currency. It's going to be the petrodollar. Yes, Dr. Stan.
I assume then they're going to devalue the dollar through inflation, and so that really it'll lose most of its value, which will, of course, impoverish most of the American people. Is this what you anticipate?
Yes, that is exactly what they're going to do. The dollar will lose so much of its purchasing power that you will be begging when your children go hungry. Yet the grocery store shelves are going to be full. but yet you can't afford to buy it because the dollar will devalue to the point that you don't know what to do. And in desperation, you will bow your knee to the New World Order and beg them for a New World currency. And when you get to that point, when the Americans are begging, they will step on the scene, the World Bank will. And, oh, by the way, it looks like Ms. Clinton is heading for the point of trying to be the head of the New World, of the World Bank. But anyway, they will be right ready to step in with a new currency, and what's going to back it?
And I think it's so important.
Gold and silver.
I think it's going to be important for people to understand that basically you'll get your Social Security check. They're not going to get your Social Security benefits. They just won't buy much of anything. They'll still pay for Medicare, but the doctors will have to quit, and the hospitals will have to quit taking Medicare patients because they won't be able to pay enough for it. In other words, there is no worse tax than the tax of inflation. It's a silent tax. It's how you steal the people's money, and they have no idea what's happening. Of course, unless you listen to our programs, listen to Lindsay, and this is what we've anticipated all along. He was told a couple of years ago, by the end of 2012, the dollar would be dead, and apparently it's going to be simply, they're going to inflate away its value. It'll still be there. It just won't buy much of anything. Go right ahead, Lindsay.
Well, Dr. Sand, the next item, it hurts me to even have to tell it. I had two conversations with my elite friend, one last Friday, another one this week. They are laughing at the Americans. I mean, it is so sad that Americans are falling for their line. You're bucking just enough that they're concerned. They think you're stupid. I predict the crisis in the Middle East 5 months before it began, and you now, as American taxpayers, are paying for a war. Do you realize what the elite are doing to you? You are actually paying for the war that the elite are creating for the
Hold that thought. Well, you know, millions of Americans have chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, autoimmune disease, and cancer, and they're not improving with conventional medical treatment. So if you have one of those conditions and you need help, why don't you contact the Envita Medical Center at 866-830-4576. That's the Envita Medical Clinic at 866-830-4576. The physicians there will evaluate you, provide treatment that combines the best elements of conventional, alternative, and natural medicine from throughout the world, and they have amazing results. You can reach Envita at 866-830-4576. That's 866-830-4576. Why don't you give them a call today?
Hi, my name's Russ, and after my heart attack, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I needed to keep on working, but now it's becoming a problem. I heard about these garlic cayenne drops and hoped it would help me. Well, I've been taking them for about 4 months, and the way I'm feeling now, I can see how I just might make it to retirement, thanks to Extendivite.
My name's Don Wiskin, and I want you to know Extendivite works. If you're looking for more energy, or just want to be as healthy as you can, now is the time to join the growing list of real people benefiting from Extendivite. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Hello, folks. Alex Jones here, introducing Prudent Places USA, an interactive CD book that is your premier resource for hard-to-find information. Find out about everything from job migration to evacuation information, such as major bridges in disrepair and FEMA evacuation time studies for coastal cities. Zero in on man-made disaster zones, environmental areas of concern, and natural disaster zones. Find out everything from where to get water in an emergency to geographic income levels, housing prices, complete with over 3 gigabytes of detailed information on the 3,000-plus counties in the U.S., full-color photographs, 550 high-resolution full-color maps, and detailed information and analysis that you need. Order Prudent Places USA now for only $29 plus shipping by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438 and tell them Alex Jones sent you. That's 888-803-4438 or order online at BerkeyWater.com.
Local Army Navy surplus stores are hard to find these days, but not military issue supplies. They're right here online at MaineMilitary.com. That's right, just like the state, M-A-I-N-E, military.com. We have everything for true total preparedness. MaineMilitary.com is not a typical website. It has much more than your old surplus store. Quality military-issue survival gear like canteens, mess kits, utensils, gas masks, filters, and chemical suits. Magnesium fire-starting tools, strike anywhere, waterproof, and storm matches. First aid kits, splints, tourniquets, parachute 550 cord, military manuals, sandbags by the bale, and a huge Molly assortment of vests and pouches for every need. Call 207-989-6783, 207-989-6783, or visit MaineMilitary.com. That's M-A-I-N-E military.com, the Maine name in military supply.
Are you tired of searching for great talk radio?
Something more important.
Search no more. We are the GCN Radio Network.
Well, Dr. Stan, our guest Lindsey Williams. Lindsey, go right ahead.
The American taxpayer is paying for the crisis created by the elite to depose every royal family, throw down every government, and bring down the American dollar and take away our oil supply from Saudi Arabia. It started with Egypt, then it went to Libya, then it was Yemen. It was Mubarak, Gaddafi, Ali Abdullah Saleh in Yemen. It is going to go from there, mark my words, right on to Jordan, Syria, Oman, one after the other, and the American taxpayer are paying for what the elite are doing, and our president just the other day risked his chance of getting to be president of the United States. I could not believe this man did this. He undoubtedly must have the elite dictating to him what he is to do. Listen to this article. Mr. Obama rejected the opinion of Jay Johnson, I'm giving you names now, the Pentagon General Counsel, and Caroline Krass, the acting head of the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel, and the New York Times reported Johnson and Krass both told the White House they believed that the U.S. military action in the NATO-led air war over Libya amounted to hostility. And under the War Powers Resolution of 1973, the president must give a reason to Congress as to why they're doing it. He has no choice. He must risk his job. He must risk his possibility of re-election because the elite are demanding that he go right ahead. One nation after the other is being overthrown, and Americans, you as taxpayers are paying for your own destruction and your own demise as American taxpayers. It is so startling what's happening. Americans, you've got to rise up in arms. You've got to quit this. You must not allow any longer this president to keep doing what he's doing. The elite are totally controlling. First of all, they got Congress to vote to open up those oil areas that Dr. Stan verified that I just gave you the other day. They know the date approximately that this Middle East crisis is going to get to this point, and they're making every preparation. I hope you, as individuals, are making preparation. One more thing I must give you. I know time's running out here. Gold and silver prices. I know many of you have seen them drop lately, and they're still dropping a little bit even more this morning. Don't pay 1 ounce of attention to it. I'm telling you what has just been told to me. I know what they're having, what they're doing, because they are buying everything they can, and this will stay about where it is through August. But beginning in September, the latter part of August, and up into September, from September to December, they plan to raise the price of gold and silver somewhere between 20 and 25%. Every bit of it is in preparations for what they see, and they've already set their timelines to bring in a new currency and what they're going to do in the United States of America, Dr. Stan.
Well, I'm sure you're absolutely right, Lindsay. I think we're in for some very, very difficult times. And, of course, I think people have to understand, because we talk about this from a geopolitical point of view, from a financial point of view, but God is bringing his judgment on this nation. Don't you think, Lindsay?
Yes, I do. And, Dr. Stan, as encouragement, as we end up here, I never worry. What you see happening right now in America, it doesn't bother me in the least, because I know what the elite have told me and what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen in Europe. I know what's going to happen in the Middle East. I give it to you over this network and over Dr. Stan's program. As a result, I sleep quite well at night. I don't look behind bushes for black helicopters. These people, you know in advance what they're going to do. And because of this, you can make the preparations necessary, and you don't have to worry over all of this. Don't lose any sleep over it. Nothing surprises me anymore, because the elite have told me everything that they're doing, and then I prepare in advance and take advantage of what they've told me. And that's the reason that I am so glad that by the providence of God, he allowed me to know some of these people years ago so that I could appear on your radio show today, Dr. Stan, and let all of the audience that you have and Genesis Network know what is taking place. Because if you know it, then you can make the preparation that's necessary. So be encouraged over some things. I've given you the very latest briefing that's just been given to me. Some of it you'll have to go and prove for yourself. Dr. Stan has already done some of it, as you mentioned before, about what Congress did. And all of these things should excite you, because we're living in some very interesting days, Dr. Stan.
God bless you. We'll be talking to you next week. Lindsay will be our guest on some of our programs next week. So thanks very much for being with us, and we'll be talking to you real soon. Thanks for everything, Lindsay. Well, that was Lindsay Williams, and he's got all sorts of fascinating information. I had one of my good friends call me. I've been watching some of Lindsay's DVDs up on the internet, some 6 hours of them. And he was just really so impressed by the things. And this is a really smart guy. And the fact that, of course, Lindsay's talking about how the dollar is going to be replaced probably by special drawing rights. We're on the edge of some very important things. How do we understand it? Well, certainly we can understand it from a geological point of view, from the point of view of oil. We've got a great DVD. It's called The Energy Non-Crisis. It's a talk that Lindsay gave to a group in Southern California some years ago. We have a 4-tape set on the oil deception. We have my talk on the oil deception, and my talk, it's a syllabus goes with that. So the oil deception and a syllabus on the oil deception. Then, of course, you'll certainly want to get my book on the Brotherhood of Darkness, give you real insight into what's going on. But how do we put things into their perspective spiritually? Well, of course, you need to get the DVD, The Watchers 1, The Watchers 2, put out by our friend Lynn Marzulli, because, of course, we are witnessing prophetic times. And believe me, there are powerful spiritual forces behind everything going on. If you haven't yet seen my talk on The Secret, The Forbidden Secret, The Dark Secret, there are 3 DVDs. And there's a syllabus with The Forbidden Secret and The Dark Secret. You'll want to get this information. You'll want to study it. You'll want to get it and reproduce it and give it to others. We are involved in a spiritual battle that's being played out on a political, ideological, cultural, financial, educational, and certainly even on an oil battlefield, an energy battlefield. And until you understand behind everything going on are powerful spiritual forces, none of this makes sense. So our plea to you is get the information. Our telephone number 1-800-544-8927, 1-800-544-8927, our webpage, radioliberty.com. Now, I have to remind you, my ministry is primarily listener-supported. I don't get a salary for what I do, nor does my wife. We do what we do because, well, we feel God's put us here for this at this time, but we still have to support a lot of radio stations and a staff, and so if you're in a position to help, our telephone number, 1-800-544-8927. And a lot of people are losing their jobs, a lot of our supporters. So if you can step in, take their position, you join the Radio Liberty family. You get the 4 best CDs or tapes of the month. You get our monthly newsletter. But more than that, you help us. As we reach out 5 hours every day, 5 days a week, to people across America, beginning to introduce them to these entirely different concepts. So remember, that's 1-800-544-8927. Go to our webpage. You can listen to our radio programs free, 9 hours a day. You won't get much accomplished, but you'll sure learn a lot. And then, of course, you can watch our DVDs free. You can read our newsletters free. Go to our section on other videos on the web. Go to our section on the occult symbols. And we've got all sorts of what I think are very important information up there, which we hope you'll get, you'll copy, you'll get to others. And that's radioliberty.com. And then, of course, we've got these 2 great 4 CD sets. Dr. Cuddy on the Illuminati. We've got the 4 CD set by Barry Shamishon, The Return of the Giants. And between 1988 and 1999 over in Israel, people saw all sorts of supernatural phenomena. And they saw the Giants, a great 4 CD set, and all of this is available. 1-800-544-8927. 1-800-544-8927. Please pray for America. Pray for revival. Pray for our leaders and our ministers, but pray for Radio Liberty, for our provision and our protection. We'll be back in just a moment here at Genesis.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. If you own an Apple iPhone and love to listen to your favorite programs on GCN, I've got good news for you. I'm proud to announce that GCN has a brand new iPhone app available for our dedicated listeners at GCNlive.com. Listen to your favorite hard-hitting GCN programs live or on demand right on your iPhone. And the best part? The GCN iPhone app can be yours absolutely free. Download the iPhone app today by clicking on the banner at GCNlive.com. Again, that's GCNlive.com. We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Ted Anderson, I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.